Hello, I'm Malcolm Hazlitt. Mark Trenwith began his comedy career in Adelaide and created a unique character, Mr. Snotbottom, and then moved to Melbourne, I wonder why, to further his comedy career. But he's here now. Mark
Yes,
Trenwith.
hello. I'm back.
You are. You've been back for the Fringe, I know.
That's right.
With your favourite character. Is he your favourite character, Mr. Snotbottom?
Oh, it's the only one that works.
Oh.
No, yeah, it's it's
I
been
wore
he's been
this
good to
tie
me.
especially because he's very colourful.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
I thought if you came in like him, I would have to balance.
Yeah, well, these are almost the same snot bottom colours, but just
I thought you were
toned
the
down.
White
Like-
Avenger.
Yeah.
Mark, when did you start comedy and why?
Wow. Why did I actually start comedy itself? I started
stand-up
around
comedy we're talking
right, yeah, around 2000.
As opposed to sit-down comedy. Is there such a thing?
Well,
If
this
you're in
is
a wheelchair.
possibly it.
Oh,
yeah,
now.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, we're going nowhere with that. But when did it all start for you, Mark?
So it started around 2001 Comedy Cellar. That was where my first gigs were. And I did Dave Flanagan. Yeah. Dave Flanagan's comedy course. And that's how I sort of got into it.
And your friend, what happened to him?
So he just never did it. Well, actually, a couple of years later, he got into it.
So you went with your friend and then he left you in the dark, in the light, in fact, was the point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he was pretty much
Hello,
going...
I'm on.
But he was sort of like... kind of going, oh, I want to get into stand-up, let's do it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll sign up for the course. He was like, okay, have fun.
Oh, okay. Did he come to see you, though?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
There's a gag you used to do about, I think it was your auntie coming to see you that I absolutely loved.
Yeah, because she would sort of be saying, oh, I don't like going to the Fringe, it's just too loud, it's too busy, it's too busy, too crazy, I don't like going to the Fringe, it's just, I don't like these big events. And then like the next night I saw her at the Clipsal. So it was, can't use that joke anymore because the clips on the Fringe aren't combined.
Yes, it's gone. That's why I let you do it. But where does the comedy come from? Before you were doing this character, which is predominantly like a family character, Mr. Snotbottom, where did the comedy come to for you? Is it people saying things? Is it like that particular joke? Was that a real situation?
Yeah,
that was a real. It's picking real life.
Yeah, for sure. I guess observing just real things happening around you and people's I guess reactions to things. Or even just sort of observational stuff like. Something that's like kind of really, I'm finding really strange at the moment is like the cafes that are in the Woolworths. Is that in Adelaide as well as?
There are.
Like I find that absolutely ridiculous. So I ended up like writing it's probably not G-rated enough to talk about it here, but I wrote about 3 minutes just on cafes in Woolworths because I think they're ridiculous. Like what kind of idiots getting like a latte next to the dunny rolls. Do you know what I mean? Like when you've got all those choices, like a flat white and hold fast shores or a long black on Brunswick Street. You just, someone's going, oh, I'll get a frappuccino next to the Cocoa Pops and the Maggi noodles. Like I don't know how that, as an economy, I don't know how that works. But
it's crazy, but that's true. There's so many funny things in life to pick up.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the right observational ability to pick it up.
Yeah, I guess that's about being open, I suppose, and just sort of being able to see what's there. Sometimes it feels like you're cheating, like you're like the world has written it for you, and you just go, okay, I'll grab that and I'll grab that. Thank you, world.
But I think that's really the funniest people probably have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's weird. I don't really.
So I've just paid you a compliment.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not good at accepting those.
The funniest people have the ability to do that. You were just saying how you did that, see? Pay attention. We've known each other for quite a long time, and we were just discussing, it was 10 years ago you left Adelaide and moved to Melbourne.
Yep, that's right.
How long ago did you invent Mr. Snotbottom?
It was close to around the same time because it's interesting because I sort of moved to Melbourne because in Adelaide, it's a very supportive network of comedians, some great places to perform, but it gets to a point where sort of you don't improve as much anymore. And I guess there is sort of not as many opportunities in Adelaide as perhaps there are interstate. And then I moved
Well, the TV thing is an important thing too.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're on TV, the public know who you are. And like, as the Fringe has just gone, the comedians that probably did the best during the Fringe were the ones from TV.
That's true, yeah. And I guess so you move over kind of chasing those sorts of things. And even, like, because there are more high profile comedians in Sydney and Melbourne, you're seeing, well, how much better you need to get more often, and you're being able to perform with them more often.
Yes, but it's how much input they've got from writers, if they're actually consulting writers to help that, because how much funny stuff can you come up with in a lifetime to keep changing your hour's set or half-hour set?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's a booker in Edinburgh. There used to be a chain called Jonglers, and she told me, it's like, this is ridiculous. Like, only really in Australia do these comedians kind of try and write a new hour every year, and half the time it's just a few good jokes and kind of B material. And but at the same time, it's sort of like, I think you need to push yourself. Sometimes we really
don't care about their food habits or the rest of the family. We really don't care.
Yeah.
But it's timing, isn't it? It's finding, you can say very unfunny things, but if you say it in the right order, you can get the laugh at the end.
Absolutely.
Have you seen comedy change in the time you've been working within the area?
Oh, totally. Especially at the moment, it's there's always there's a trailblazer that comes through with a new sort of style. So we've seen stuff like, clowning was very huge for a while with Dr. Brown, and I guess now we have sort of, Hannah Gadsby has come through with, the more honest approach and political approach, and now we're seeing a lot of, I don't want to say copycat comedians, but, like people that are inspired by that style, and that's very much informing a lot of
Yes, that's difficult, isn't it? Because back, I suppose, 50 years ago, the jokes were different, the stand-up style was quite different, and a lot of that was generated, again, by TV comics who could basically work in places like Las Vegas, for example, for the Americans, do the same act for 20 years because they didn't do TV, but they were known because they had been in a series or they'd been in something that set them up. That's not so easy in Australia, is it?
Yeah, I mean, especially now with like the internet, like everyone is sort of hilarious all of a sudden, and everyone's got a TikTok account.
They think they are.
That's true. Well, I mean, yeah. But it's interesting because I think even like now, I think it's a positive thing that people are voting with their feet. And so you've kind of got people who are just sort of backyard YouTubers who then have this suddenly enormous following that they created just off on their own back.
But they're not live.
No, it's true. And then when they do go live, you see the struggle. You do sort of see...
Because it's a daunting process to stand up there all alone in a spotlight with a microphone and make people laugh.
Yeah, I think, it's not for everyone.
No, fortunately, otherwise you wouldn't be working. No one would pay. But let's talk about Snotbottom, because apart from Mr. Snotbottom's name, when I heard that, I thought, why on earth is he going down that path? But I've seen what Mr. Snotbottom does, and kids find it just hysterical because you say all the words. Yeah,
but I guess it is sort of like knowing how to say them as well, in terms of, like...
That they don't sound crude.
Well, that, and also, like, even for a kid, if you make a fart joke enough times, it's even for a kid it gets stale, and it's all about, I think all humour is about surprise.
I don't want to be around your stale...
Yeah, well, neither do I, but...
Sorry, go on.
But it's, like, it's still, I think kids still, like an adult, you do need the sharp enough left turn in the joke, you know? You need the big enough surprise.
But the parents laugh just as hard.
There they do, yeah. Well, it's written for the dynamic of the kids in the family, and a lot of the jokes are about how the kids view their parents, and the most delightful thing is to be able to deliver a joke like that and see a parent and a child both react at the same time, and that's what gives me the most joy, and that's what I aim for.
Well, it's a lovely comment on human nature and families, isn't it? I mean, we've all come from a family.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we all know all of those touch points, I suppose, within things that can go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like, I mean, to give you an example, there's a song called "I Lived in Your Guts." It's about pregnancy. And so, like, I think, you know, like, it's a delight for a kid to think about, oh my gosh, I was in my mum's guts, you know, and to frame it like that. And then, you know, then it's sort of mildly humiliating for the mum in some ways, or, you know, but the sort of mums who are going to enjoy the show come, and the ones that aren't.
But isn't it good that you can both make a joke about that and be honest about where we come from?
Yeah.
Because up until probably, I don't know, 30 years ago, everything was sort of hidden. Like, you could never see a pregnant woman on television, for example.
Yeah, right.
Natural part of life, you know, crazy. We had this stereotype for people who are in media or on stage or whatever to not be human. Is really what it boils down to.
It's interesting.
Lucky men didn't get pregnant because we wouldn't have seen anything. Look, we'll be back with this conversation with Mark Trenwith in just a moment. If you have to go, now's the time. We're talking with comedian Mark Trenwith. Mark, how has COVID affected everything for you? We know how it's affected everybody else, but how has it affected you?
Sorry, what's COVID?
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, look, it was... Yeah, I mean...
Performers generally had a tough time because you couldn't work.
Yeah, the most frustrating bit was more like in that beginning part where there was still hope. And so you'd be getting emails.
This will be over in another couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Fine, yeah. And so you were constantly renegotiating contracts and capacities and stuff. And like, I feel like I was like, nah, this is going to be 18 months. And you were just having to spend more time renegotiating dates when you just knew it wasn't going to be as simple as that. Like, there's dates that I've rebooked 3 times now. And so, yeah, I think once the Band-Aid was fully ripped, and I guess being in the Melbourne lockdowns wasn't easy, but...
Did you find that a good time to write? Because you write your own material, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I did, yeah. I wrote some... it was interesting, I wrote some stuff that I may not ever do anything with. And COVID-related stuff, because I think after this is over, and it will eventually get over, the last thing we want to even laugh about is COVID. Yeah.
Now it's sort of funny, but I reckon, once the Band-Aid is off, as you say, we're going to want to move on with life.
Yeah, it'll get dry. I mean, it's already getting a bit dry pretty quickly. Like, and because I think one of the biggest challenges of COVID was or it still is the discussion around COVID.
It's the big discussion for everybody.
Yeah.
You meet in the street, at the bus stop, on the train.
Yep.
It's all about, how's it affected you? Well, I've had it. No, you had 3 shots yet?
Yeah. It's like just all that anyone's like kind of obsessed with, and it's sort of, particularly like I think in the middle of peak lockdown, when, in Melbourne, watching everyone else in the country kind of free, it was all the noise that was going on. That was the least kind of...
I can imagine, because we were relatively free in South Australia. We're very lucky. In fact, it's been harder from December this year. It's been harder on us here than everywhere else, it would seem. Yep. And yet, as I've said on the program before, I've certainly had COVID, and probably the new Omicron number.
Right.
And it was like a summer cold because I've had the vaccination.
Right.
And I think there's been a lot of confusion over that the vaccination would make it so you never got it without enough explanation. No, it will just reduce the symptoms.
Yes.
It's not, it's vaccination, not the inoculation.
Yeah, yeah.
There must be a song in that. Vaccination, not inoculation. There must be a song in that, surely.
But I'm not sure I want to hear it.
No, okay. Now, you play the ukulele.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which you couldn't bring tonight. It had a mind of its own, which I completely understand. Yeah. But where did the songs come from, and where did the uke come from?
Well, I started playing the uke when, as a Captain Starlight in the kids' hospital. So it was sort of a skill set that someone showed me.
So were you doing like clown doctoring?
It's something like that, yeah. But it's like, it's captain, so it's a superhero instead.
Of course you are. Because you look so good in tights.
Exactly. That's what I keep trying to tell people, but
then
they arrest me, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? People in Coles want to see this." No, they don't. It's so it was sort of just a skill set, and it was sort of one of those things where I was just like, all right, I played Twinkle Twinkle, the 3 chords to a baby. They're not going to know if it's terrible.
Yes, I know the 3 chords.
And I kept playing it terribly for 3 years. And then one day I just went, I can play this, and it was lovely to be able to learn something that way. Because sometimes trying to learn something can be a grind. And,
it's like a muscle memory thing too. If you do it enough, it just sort of happens. You suddenly realise, I can actually do this.
Yeah, and it's lovely if you can do it in a way that doesn't feel like it's work as well. So, and that's how I don't think I would have learned it otherwise. So, and so once I realised I could play it properly and reasonably and was strumming without thinking about it, I wrote some songs. And but even then, playing those live the first few 100 times, there was mistakes and and it was
but the character can get away with that. That's the beauty of it. Yes,
exactly.
If you can't do something, find a way to play a character so that it looks like you can.
Well, that's it.
I've had a career of doing that.
Well, that's the whole pretense of the character. He starts the show still in his undies, and it takes 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes of the show is just me getting ready unsuccessfully. So then when things do go wrong, there's like, oh yeah, that's another bit.
Yes. Where do you think it's going to go for you? Are you looking to expand the character like as a national icon? Well, the Wiggles did it. Yeah,
it's like I try not to be too goal orientated with it in terms of long term.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to work on just short term little milestones, and a lot of that has been getting the show right and getting it. It's like almost like wanting X amount of laughs per show.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of almost there actually. So now I would love for it to. I mean, I get to tour.
What do you think you're at? Are you at the 10-second laugh, 15-second laugh, 20-second laugh when you think of it in those terms?
Yeah, sometimes.
Because people don't realise comedians actually do think of it in those terms.
Yeah.
So the laughs just keep rolling.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've honed that intro to a good, one every 10 seconds, I think, probably less than. And and I think now it's kind of oiled enough to be able to sort of get further bookings.
The hard part is, I suppose, getting the national exposure that you need. But then once you get that exposure, then you've lost it because you've got to come up with something else because they've already heard that show.
Yes.
It's one of the mistakes that a lot of comedians on TV, we see what they just did, and then you see them live. Oh no, I heard all that on television. So when do you, grandfather your routine so that you can use it on TV, that you're not going to use it live anymore?
Yeah, well, I guess the positive thing, I think and that's when you brought up like the Wiggles, is that audience just keeps regenerating. So, and that's the positive thing with which I'm experiencing with Snot Bottom, is that crowd. There's a new crowd every 5 years, so I can recycle the material. And the downside is there's no loyalty. So you try and build up a mailing list, and you can't.
So what happens when Mr. Snot Bottom grows up?
That's a good question.
Is that the next phase? Have you got to think about that as the next phase?
Yeah, it just I think means. I mean, I don't know. I suppose Greg Wiggle is 107, so it's or Anthony, who's the oldest one at the moment. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah, so I mean, he's maybe I don't have to. Maybe
Mr. Snotbottom's got to take some antihistamine or something, so he doesn't have that problem anymore. Becomes Mr. Something Bottom, Big Bottom.
Maybe it's like Weekend at Bernie's. Maybe that's how they end up. That's what becomes Mr. Snotbottom.
Oh, I don't know. The thing is, with comedy generally, it really is so difficult. Everybody doesn't realise that to be funny it can be sort of natural, but it sort of isn't really. Are you a sad comedian? Most of the comedians I've met have got this side to them that really, they only come alive when they're actually working. Do you come alive only when you work?
I feel like there's different sides to it. Like, I actually feel like I'm better when I am relaxed. And I feel like I'm the sort of person who gets in their own head really, really, really easily. And it has sabotaged me a lot. And I feel like now that I'm more relaxed and I've, made more effort to work on myself and do all those sort of things that you need to do, like meditation and stuff like that. In some ways, the pandemic has been a godsend. Like, I'm like trying less hard, and it's become easier. So the less hard I've tried,
yes.
the
You're
easier
not trying anymore. It's just a natural progression.
Yeah.
To do the performance.
Yeah, because I feel like I make the mistake of being on stage and just kind of looking around and going, what's that person thinking? What's that person thinking? Oh, and then the show's gone. And
well, that's an actor's job, though, isn't it? Really, you've just got to hone in on the character and go for it.
Yeah,
Believe
exactly.
it.
And just
You
trust.
gotta believe.
Yeah, and now it's interesting. Now that I'm more relaxed with it, it's almost like I see little nuances that make me go, oh, this is the direction I'll just whip into, and that feels like more effortless. And it's sort of, and I think the shows have actually become a lot better.
Well, I suppose the trick for every comedian is to make it look like you just thought of it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Which is like...
This is the one and only time that this has ever been said and that anybody's ever laughed at this, and I just thought of it.
Yeah.
Bang.
Which is hilarious for like a pretense of Mr. Snotbottom, where I come undressed every single performance, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the first time this has happened.
When you say that, you don't mean completely undressed. You just mean
love heart boxer shorts.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes. We've purposely not shown you Mark in full character so that you'll actually Google him and just see a little bit of this, because I think you've created something that's quite unique. I think you've created something that joins the family together, and in the future people are going to look back at Mr. Snotbottom and remember, like the Wiggles stuff, the sort of routines that you do, and in fact the name and all of those things, because it's just lovely. Look, we'll be back in a tick to talk a little bit more with Mark. We've been talking with Mark Trenwith. Mark, the Melbourne Comedy Festival is sort of quite a big affair. It's a chance to bring a whole lot of comedians together with all sorts of different styles. And you've been working as part of that?
Yeah. So Melbourne Comedy Festival, I'm in the lower town hall, and it's amazing. It's a chance to sort of come together, as you say, with lots of different comedians, and you get to see each other's stuff, and it's great to sort of be almost a part of a bigger community when you're a solo performer.
Well, that's important. What it is, though. When you are a solo performer, you don't get to work usually with them apart from hello, goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, especially like during, like when I was a stand-up more, you could see each other at gigs and stuff like that. Whereas, now when Mr. Snotbottom, it's only like 1 hour shows or whatever here and there. It's a
standalone because not another family comedian coming before or after.
No, exactly.
See, you've really cornered the market here.
Yeah, it's
and that smile, that toothy smile, that one, it's very unique just to you.
Right.
Look, I really wish you all the best in the future, because it's a great piece, a great character you've come up with. And I do remember an older American comedian who used to say she had her Rolls-Royce material and she would always try new stuff, but if it wasn't working, she'd go back to, this is Phyllis Diller, I just remembered her name. She'd go back to her Rolls-Royce material and talk about her husband Fang, if anyone's old enough to remember this, that would always be sure of a laugh.
Yeah.
Do you have the same? Do you have material that you just know is going to work no matter what?
Yeah, I call it my break glass in case of emergency material.
Right, that material.
Yeah.
I get it. Mark, it's been lovely to see you again for such a long time. I've known you, and it's just great to have watched your star rising. Good luck with Mr. Snotbottom, and don't forget the tissues. So until next time on OurTime, we hope you've had a bit of a laugh with us. Keep yourself nice till we meet again.